Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Terrence with 1010 Studios here today to talk about Logic to help those doing some what we call DAW recordings or studio sessions, even live sessions where you're recording in a multi-track form or maybe just one or two tracks, all depends upon your setup. But we're going to be talking today. I'm going to do that over. What's going on, everyone? This is Terrence here with 1010 Studios, and today we're going to be talking about Logic, just some basics in order to get set up and in order to get familiarized with the application, to get you started, and to make sure you have a good understanding of the essentials you're going to have in order to make your projects flow smoothly when you're going to be doing some editing, things of that nature. So presuming you already have Logic installed onto your computer and you're able to get it opened up here, when you do an audio recording itself, let's just say you have this connected to your workstation, your mixer, and you have your recordings coming in, you're going to want to be able to do certain basic things on a regular basis or have a setup on a regular basis. So when you first open up the application, you're going to see something like this when you're doing an audio recording, and you'll come up with one track or maybe multiple tracks. And it's kind of starting from the top here, you might have it open where it looks similar to, I want to say similar to this is when it first opens up. So when you see this, basically this area is going to be in regards to your track that you're on. So input number 1, you'll see the number here. You'll see any kind of settings that might be there. It's going to be bland and generic, so just getting started. And then you see where you can route the signal on this channel to different buses, and we'll talk about that in a few moments as well. So to get a cleaner look, all you have to do is come up here to the top left and see what section might be engaged and just turn it on or turn it off to your liking. That's one thing you can do. Over here, you have the option of some more controls. So depending upon which are chosen, what channel and what feature, what function, that'll help you to get the controls brought up or taken away from the bottom of the screen. If you hit the mixer view, which is also the letter X on your keyboard. So for example, I'm going to hit the letter X and you'll see that the mixer option goes away and can come back. So in this section, you're able to get a high level view of all your channels, the faders, anything level coming in wise, and any kind of features or any kind of digital processing that might be going on. So you can see all of that on this view. Now this view is pretty much a view that I see and use quite often, simply because you sometimes want to get an eye on what level your instruments or where your tracks are. So you sometimes want to leave this view up. So I usually leave this view up for a good majority of the mixing portion of my sessions, so I can get a high level of where things are volume wise and make changes to it. So you can make changes to it right here, and you'll also see the volume change right here. They are one and the same. Now, if you got a lot of different channels here, let's just say 16 channels, for example, you don't want to try to mix it here all the time, but you can, and you can see what the levels of everything is over here. It's just a little bit more familiar visually in order to make those changes. Now, let's just say you have this channel here. Let me just get this view out. And you want to change the name of the channel. So all you have to do is double click in this area and you can name it whatever you want. And then here you can do what we call the right click or 2 fingers and click there. You can change the icon of it. So you have a number of different possibilities here. You got the drum section, any kind of percussions, bass section, your guitar, keyboard section, strings, your wind instruments, sound effects if you have sound effects. So there's a other, and then custom, which is, you can add in some stuff, but usually you'll be able to find things from here. This will help to kind of have you to group it if you so choose to do so. So since this is a vocal, let's just go with, this icon. So let's add a new track by doing a right click, which is 2 fingers on the trackpad, or a right click on your mouse. And let's do a new track. And then let's do the same here, and let's choose instrument. Let's just say a keyboard of sorts. Let's choose this one. Now if you do the same thing over here, you double click, or right click rather, and you can go down to assign the track color. You can label it with a color as well. Let's just say I'm going to choose orange, that one. Then you just highlight this one. You see the colors change to blue, which is like the default. Let's call it like that, purple. So now you got your keys is purple, your vocal is orange, and then if you decided to record, let's just arm this real quick. You can see it has my voice coming in from in this case it's picking up the microphone, but let me also do the other one. So we're going to do 2 on, actually it's only picking up on 1. Oh, here we go. Let's do no input. Let's see if it'll let me record with that. All right, great. Actually, yeah, it's not gonna let me do it without that. So, well, I'll just do it with the 1 channel right now. So, I'm just gonna record the 1 channel for a few moments here and see if it will label it how I think it's gonna label with the orange after recording. All right, so we did our recording just as a sample. It did label it orange and vocal. So let's just say we choose this one here, and we don't make it a name. You just leave it as audio 2 for the time being. However, we just do a record. Let's see what we get here. Alright, so as you can see, it calls it untitled, but the color is purple. So let's just say we label this keys. And now what you see here, this doesn't say to show keys. So what we can do is we can right click and we can do name regions by track. And this is if you happen to do this after the fact for some reason. And you say, you know what, I forgot to label it first, but now you can name it keys. So now it matches. So if you pre-do this section where you got your label for your color, if you want to color code it, your name and your icon keys, it'll record it as that track name when you hit record. If you happen to do it after the fact, it's fine as well. Just know that you can come back and make those changes. Now when it comes to a few other things here, so if you see here, you got your controls for your playhead, recording, playback, things like that. Over here you see how it's labeled for timing. So you can have it in time, you can have it in beats, like a beat display, that type deal. You can also, let's see, you can do it by beats itself if you want to measure it that way. You can do it by beats and time, so you have it in both measurements. So when you're playing, you see that it's going by beats and it's also going by seconds. And then I usually leave it in time itself. That's just the way I usually do it. Or you can do something like the beats and time. for those who like to have both versions. Now, if you're doing, like, say, if you're a musician, let's just say, and you're trying to do some tracking, so you're rehearsing or you're recording a song, something like that, you might want to click track. So this right here is for the count in, it gives you a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then now it's a 4 count, not necessarily vocals, but it'll click a few times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it'll actually start the recording. That's what that's for. This right here is your metronome, so you hear the click when you're going back and forth. So that's what that's for. Now, you can change the way that sounds by going into your metronome settings. So you can get there a couple ways. You can go there here, which is pretty easy. Just right click or 2-finger taps on the mouse trackpad. Go down to the metronome settings. And then you can turn it on or off if you want to. And then you can raise and lower the volume here. And the tone as well here, rather. Here's your volume settings to make it louder or softer. So this way you can make that change accordingly. Let me see if I can do it in real time. And let's just say you like that tone. So now you can go ahead and close that out. So anytime you play your click track, that's what it'll sound like. So hopefully you heard that loud enough in order to, see what it sounds like from the change standpoint. Now, for the mixer part, let's go back to the mixer setup here. Now, here's where you'll see all your tracks in the order. You'll see it from left to right, starting with track 1, going to track 2. And by default, the ambience feature, or FX, and a small hall effects is here. Now, you can always have it routed there through here. You just kind of click and hold and drag your mouse up or down, and you'll see the value change. And whatever you got coming in there will go into number 1, or what is called number 2. And then here, we'll go into the very next one, right here. So that's bus 2 and bus 3. You can take it out of there if you want to by hitting that little power button. And then if you want to make any changes, you can click on a little up and down arrow to change the configuration in a couple ways. So you'll see the label here of what bus 2 is for the ambience. And then you can do it post the pan, post fader, or pre-fader. I would generally leave it on post fader. You don't want the effects coming in more than the volume of the fader itself on a pre-fader standpoint. I don't see a reason for it. But if you want to do it, this is where you can make those updates. Or if you want to take it out altogether, just hit no send and it'll take it out. Now, depending upon what you may have otherwise set up, you can choose whatever bus from here. And then be able to manipulate the features, sounds, input, all that fun stuff. Now, for the sake of, let's just say you have everything recorded the way you want it to. You got your tracks lined up, you got your level set the way you want it to, you got your effects in there, things like that. So now, matter of fact, before I do that, let's say you talk about your EQ. So let's just say you want to change your EQ settings. You can click on the EQ area right here, and you'll see that you have a custom spot where you're coming from a clean slate. Everything is flat. You can make your changes right here if you want to. Typically tend to cut in order to make minor changes here and there. Let's just say this is what you want to do. All right, so let's say this is your EQ for this channel. Now you can do a couple things here. One, after you get it set, let's just say this is your microphone EQ and you use the same mic and you want to keep that same setting so you don't have to redo this all the time. You can click there and you can do save as and then label it whatever you want to label it and save it. So when you come back to pick it up, you can go here and then you can load a particular setting and pick the actual EQ preset that you've done for your instrument, for your vocal, or whatever it is you made the changes on. And then same thing with the compressor. Let's say you turn your compressor on by hitting the little feature there and you turn it on for sure. You can turn it on here as well. And then you make your settings, it changes, you know, let's just say it's something like this here. And let's see here. Let's just say these are the settings you have. And then all you have to do here is do your drop down, same principle, save as, and then label it whatever you want to label it. Now, since there's different compressors that have different feels, definitely try them out. And then you're able to see what fits your needs for that particular track at that moment. So after you've made your changes to your settings, you've done compression, EQ, and different things. You mixed it, you played it back 10,000 times, so you pretty much got a good idea of where you want to be. Let's say you're done and you want to, basically bounce it down or put it to a 2-track so you can play it on your phone, your laptop, your vehicle, wherever you might be. There's a couple ways of doing it. Quickest way that I know of is hitting bounce and then choosing your format. So you always want to at least choose something like an MP3 for the sake of, going to your phone or tablet or, taking it to your car or whatever it might be. And then make sure that you have the start and end point set. Now, you typically don't want to try to change it here. Okay, I'll show you how to change it in just a moment. But once you've chosen a format and you got your bit rate and everything else, all you'd have to do is hit OK, and then it's going to prompt you for the labeling of the track name. But you forgot that, hey, when you want to record from, here, from this point to that point. The way that you can do this is by simply turning on the record kind of section by choosing the matching section, clicking, right clicking, or clicking left clicks and dragging to your endpoint. Now you can slide this left and right, back and forward, or you can just do the dragging up here at the edge. So let's just say this is what we want for the beginning to end. Now, when we hit bounce, you'll notice that the timing is different. Starting from all ones, which is the very beginning, up to 6, 3, 3, and 1. Now, remember that number 6, 3, 3, and 1. So we're going to turn this off, and we're going to hit bounce and see what it says. Now, we didn't move the playhead. Still at the same point. Now, it says 3, 3, 3, 151. It's not where we left off at. So once again, just make sure that that's engaged, which is this feature here as well. For the sake of recycling the play, bounce, and that'll be the region from beginning to end. And then once you hit OK, it's going to ask you, what do you want to call it? You can label it whatever you want to call it, and then place it wherever you need to place it. You just basically choose your area. So let's just say you want it in music, and then you label it whatever you want to call it. and then you would hit bounce, and that would run it. I'm not going to do it here at this point because there's really nothing I recorded, but you get the idea. Now, another bonus tip here is, let's just say if you got a lot of channels. So let me do this real quick to give you an example. Okay. So you got a number of channels here, and you got a couple of auxes. So these right here are your auxes. Gotta get my phone out of the way so I can see more. All right. So you got your auxes here. So let's just say you don't want to see your auxes. See this little option here that is highlighted? This will display your auxes specifically. This will display your buses, any of your inputs, your outputs, and then your master VCAs. So let's just say you don't want to see none of that other stuff. You just want to see your inputs, because you know, I have more space here. I'm not going to do more channels to fill it up, but just imagine if this was a full spread of channels, and you know, you got more channels, so you kind of run out of space, so you have to scroll left and right in order to see all of them. You can just, you know, work on your mix for your channels here, whatever you want, and then leave certain things to be out of your way. So let's just say that was that. And now you just want to mix with your auxes. So you can take out your audio and just mix by auxes. You can keep your main out there and your master out. If you have some MIDI channels, you can keep that in or out as you need to. And then you can throw back in whatever you might need to in order to make sure you have everything that you need. And by the way, this makes it larger, and this will shrink it up a little bit, just so you can save a little bit of real estate. Now you can do it by a single, you know, track if you need to. As you can see, audio 11 is one that's highlighted, and when you change it, it should change along with. So let's just say if you selected channel 7, you'll see only channel 7 showing with the other, you know, groups of faders. If you want to do all your tracks, you just leave it all. That's typically where we would suggest to leave it at anyway. Just a little bit easier to see where things are at from a high level. Now you can reorder the tracks as well. So let's just say if for some reason you don't want this little track here for the piano between 6 and 7, you can click and grab it and hold it and scroll down or scroll up to wherever you want it to be and sit it right there. Actually, I put it not there, but right there. And you'll see it'll change over here as well. So these are some of the things that you can do to just get organized as you need to. And if you plan to record multiple tracks on a regular basis, and you've already, let's just say you put together your order of things. So let's do a little quick demonstration here. So let's say, you know, you got the kick there. You have your snare. Let's do this one. I never like the little basic ones. I like the other ones like this here. Kick, snare. I'm going to do time 1, time 2, and time 3. And let's do a little bit fancy. I'm going to also do, let's just say it's overhead. And then let's say we got the bass. And let's say we got a guitar. And then on this one, let's say we got a trumpet. So you get the idea. Let's remove this one because we don't need it. Alright, so we got a kick. And if you hit tab, it'll just jump down to the name field. That's a quick little tip that I can share with you for a quick labeling. There, so you don't have to keep clicking and clicking and clicking. And let's see, Tom 1, Tom 2, Tom 3, then overhead, and then this is a bass, guitar, and sax. So we got all those. Now, what I tend to lean towards is leaving like the drums as one color, and then the others, labeling them as a different color. So sax, we'll do green. Oh, I don't want to do that. Maybe it's color here. Alright, so those are vast enough as a color scheme. And let's select this here. Alright, so you got all your colors. And let's change the base. It's too close to the auxes. And light blue is okay. Alright, so now we got all the colors set. So now if we decide to record, just like we did on the first track, it'll be the track name and it'll be the track color. Now, some people like to pan their instruments to the left and right a little bit, so we can do that here if you need to. You can pan the left right here by clicking and holding and kind of bring the value to the minus or plus side, depending upon what you want to do. So, and then that's that. Now you can also group your instruments when needed. So let's just say, and this is to control the levels all at one time. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I'm going to show you just one method. Play around with it and choose a method that suits you best. So, and let me just do another track with the keys because that's typically stereo. Alright, so let's call this our keyboards. Okay. Okay, so for example, let's talk about the keys here. And let's make it the right color. Let's see if I can match it. Oh, almost there. Which color did I choose? Can't remember like I can. Just do like this, and you notice in the bottom right corner. Okay, great. So now, bottom right. All right. So now we got that. So what you would do to group these together for recording wise, you would click on the one, press and hold the shift key, and click on the second track that's needed or the other tracks that's needed. And then you would, do the double finger tap or right click, depending upon if you're using a mouse, and create a stack track. You have a couple options. You got a folder and a summing. I typically choose a summing because it has different functionalities to it. So now you have it where you have both the tracks are there together. You can control the volume as one. And I would suggest to label this as well. So let's just say keys. And then you can close a folder in order to minimize the amount of tracks on the screen, because I would say leave the levels at 0 on both so you can get the maximum level out of both of them. And you can raise and lower the tracks from here. So I'll just keep this closed. You'll see it says keys. You don't see left, right, but it is for both, and it'll allow you to raise and lower the level from one fader compared to having two faders to raise and lower at the same time. Because if you do it from here, it's just going to be the one. But if you do it from here, it will be the both in volume. So let's put that back to 0, and that'll raise it for both channels. So similar to that, I would suggest to do it with the drums when you get a decent mix, so you can lower it as like a group compared to one channel at a time, which can be quite annoying sometimes. So you would do the same thing, click on that channel, go down and press shift, and then hit the last channel you need. Do the same thing for create stack track. Leave it as a summing track is, a good starting point. And then now you have the drums. So now you can kind of shorten up the list of tracks and then still be able to control it once you have a mix. So for drums itself, once you get a certain mix of level, let's just say this is where you want to be. Let's see, that's where you want to be for it. You can keep this closed and then mix from here to raise and lower the drums as a group. Same thing with the keys. You can keep it closed to affect both the tracks as a group. And of course, guitar is only one single channel typically. Same thing with sax and other instruments. Same thing with the vocals. If you have multiple vocals, say if you have a lead vocal and background vocals, or you just have background vocals in general, you can do the same thing, much like you did with the drums. Put them all in one group and be able to raise and lower the volume all together collectively. So now this is just a starting point for those who need this kind of a, layout. And you can always save yours by going to File and then Save As, and then labeling it, say, whatever kind of a template you want. Now you can save this as a template, or you can just label it. Either or to work very much the same. If you do save as a template, it's going to prompt you to do a few different things, so just be aware. But label it what you want to call it, so this way you can recall these settings without having to worry too much about, doing it all over again from scratch, doing the organization, doing a little, pre-work, so to speak. You can do so all at one point. So hopefully you've learned something here on this particular, brief tutorial as a basic setup for those using Logic Pro. Now this is very similar to Logic Pro, different versions, and also as future versions come out. Now things may be moved around a little bit as the newer versions come out, as updates come out. If you're working with a different DAW itself, similar principles, just minor changes here and there. But still, I would suggest to definitely get a pre-setup done so you can come back to it without much trouble for those situations where you're going to be recording the same, type of sessions most of the time, be it a band, be it a church, be it, live environments, whatever it might be. You can just jump right to it. You got it all in your particular order as you like it. And then you can go ahead and make minor changes when necessary, be it the, title of it, an additional instrument, maybe additional vocals, maybe less vocals, whatever it might be. You have that option of doing so without having to start from the very beginning. You can kind of recover and recall what you've preset for your situation. So until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give us your input on what you'd like to see us talk about in the near future. Have a great day and be blessed.